Today, my guest is Santiago Soto. He's the group CFO at Search Atlas, a high growth SaaS company recognized for top tier SEO software. So, thank you so much, Santiago, for joining us today.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. So, just hopping right in, why don't you tell us a little bit about your professional and personal journey?
Absolutely. So let's say like the first 10 years of my life, I devoted myself to investment banking. So the first couple of years was focused 100% on M&A in Spain and France. And then I just moved to BFA to cover all of the investment banking products where basically you work in M&A and capital markets, meaning IPOs, debt IPOs or issuing bond and notes for Latin conglomerates. And then I recently moved 100% to the tech space as CFO of this group of companies. So that's pretty much like, of course, the worlds have changed drastically. So one is very structured, deal based, a lot of pitch mode meetings. You have to earn the trust of other CFOs, especially from large conglomerates. Many times they have, 20, 30 years of experience. So earning the trust of someone that may hesitate on, hiring you because you are a bit, younger, and now moving into the execution part, not only acquire a company, but integrating a company, which you will never learn that in investment banking. It's super exciting. And of course, the AI technologies on both sides of the spectrum, let's say, are very different. I will suspect that the corporates are moving way faster than the investment banking side because, of course, there are many compliance issues, regulatory, bureaucracy, etc. I am very in touch not only with investment banks that are covering us as a company, but also with my ex-colleagues. And, comparing, the innovations internally versus you have in Wall Street are surprisingly different and substantially big, like this kind of gaps of how, let's say, a relatively small SaaS startup in the US works and rates versus what you can typically find in Wall Street. So that's kind of my background. But again, excited to talk with you and happy to hear any question, whatever I can share from my experience.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I guess I first want to know, were you always kind of interested in a finance background? Did it always pique your interest? Is it what you studied in school, or was it just kind of rolled out for you nicely?
No, I was super geek, and when you are, studying, business, and you are your bachelor's, and then, I did everything finance related. Then I did the master's in finance. But one challenging point that a lot of people ask is like you have to decide basically if you want to be a corporate finance guy, basically, Excel person versus markets, trading and Bloomberg. That's how I summarize the difference between the two of, let's say, of the aspects in the finance world. And of course, there are many roles within both worlds. But I have always been super interested in the corporate finance side of things. I do respect my friends that are in trading. I think that they are really brilliant. The skills are very different. Let's say that they have a lot of pressure, but in a limited time frame when the markets are on, they have to prepare their strategies maybe before and afterwards. But they don't have, let's say, crazy hours or let's say the long negotiations that you have in an M&A, for example. That's what I really love. So there are a lot of nuances between the two worlds, but I just, let's say, recently found that I really love what I do because of striking deals. So basically, having a boardroom with, lawyers, and as a banker, you are kind of a lawyer, and definitely you need to be 70 or 80% of a lawyer, in at least on the critical business terms, when you are acquiring a company and when you are negotiating, right? Sometimes you are in the what you call the sell side, and you want to maximize valuation, but not everything is valuation. You want to protect your shareholders, and you want, let's say, what you call a sell heavy sided agreement to protect you. Or maybe you're in the buy side and acquire a company, and then you have to change the chip and do the opposite, basically. So that's what I really like. And that's not numbers wise. That's more of an emotional and psychological way of things that people will be surprising. I mean, they will be surprised how the numbers will back up all of your arguments, but you have to be really strategic on how you deliver the message. You can break a deal just because you are not empathetic, because maybe you are not liked. So there are many aspects besides just numbers of valuing a business. I don't think that that's rocket science, but it's really important. It's to extract the synergies, to really understand if an acquisition will be synergistic, if it will add value. Now that I'm in the execution side and integrating companies, that's where the real challenge it is. I think that valuing a company, you can, even an intern or someone in university can do it with some guidance. but realizing the value in reality, that's what really, really matters and what is really challenging. So yeah, that's a bit, what drove me to where I am today.
And would you say that, you're on the investment banking side and now you're on the CFO group side? Like you mentioned, is it really more you enjoy the role you're in now because of the people and the emotional aspect? And I know investment banking is very like grit and number punching, all that stuff. So is it kind of just like you said, the emotional aspect of it?
Absolutely. I mean, I love both worlds, and I have had the opportunity to work with amazing people. I can definitely say that in investment banking, you really work with very talented, seniors, people that you really learn. I mean, the knowledge transfer is so high that if you are able to adapt because of I know that, in the first years, it's not an easy job. You have a lot of hours and this kind of stuff, but that wasn't an issue for me. And unfortunately, I was able to be really efficient. So normally I stroke less hours than the average. But in investment banking, when I was a VP, which is kind of the junior senior role, like the first junior senior role that you have in investment banking, you are no longer, you are assumed that you are a technical guy, but now you have to sell and you have to get the trust from CFO. So you become a very commercial side person. And that's what as I am a bit big geek, I was not so enthusiastic about having 50 or 70% of my time just in pitch mode, calling CFOs, trying to tell them why hire my investment bank and not Goldman or JP Morgan or whatever. Whereas as the CFO, you have other issues, of course, but then you don't truly matter on the commercial side of things. You of course you have to maintain a lot of relationships with VCs and PEs. They will someday be your partners. They provide a lot of insights on the market, on your competitors, on what is, actually sometimes you learn a lot from them. So that's amazing, but you don't have this pressure on being commercial, but you really need to be sharp on your decision-making process and trying to realize the business plan that you provide for the company. So basically helping the sales team to drive results, operations to optimize everything, support. And what I really like is in the SaaS environment, all of the innovation. I love it. So the discussions with engineering teams, like right now it's becoming so frequent that we revise the budgets on AIs that we implement internally, because suddenly one week Gemini launched a new version and that replaces some of the things that we need to do internally, maybe not. Sometimes we make mistakes and we have to take it back and change from AI. So this kind of fast-paced conversations and how you drive value, that's what I really like. But I will say, like, it definitely depends on your personality. If you are a very commercial and numbers-wise, of course, important. But I have seen in Wall Street really successful bankers that are not great at numbers, but they are really commercial and they earn the trust of other CFOs. So it's kind of a matter of skills and what you really like doing on your day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I really like that insight about AI because that's a huge topic right now. Obviously, that's right up Stravix, our company's alley as well, as an AI implementation company. So I kind of want to get your insights on that too. What are you doing as a company? Are you guys kind of always looking for something, or how do you even personally think that 6 to 12 months, even a year from now, like what all finance could look like, finance industries, your industry, anything like that?
No, I can speak definitely on both worlds because there are a lot of differences that I'm seeing. We are not there yet where I would love to be, where you will have, let's say, agentic AIs doing lots of stuff. What I can tell you definitely, or for sure, I will love to hear other CFOs, especially in large corporations, if this is true. But if you have an agentic AI doing finance stuff that can go wrong, it can really have a massive impact. So I really suspect that we are not there yet. But internally, all of my discussions every week are how do we optimize and reforecast, let's say optimize headcount based on AI. So for example, support. Right now you have amazing tools such as, Intercom, Zendesk, etc., which are kind of the best tools in the market for support. Before, so just imagine in my world, I used to ask for rollover or a forecast on how many product support specialists we will require. But now with AI, we have to trim that down and say, what's the ROI of implementing this AI? So hence, I will not require X amount of people. So when I send my forecast to the support team and say, let's imagine that we will have this amount of users and hence this amount of requests or questions on average for our platform, how many people will we require if we implement AI or without? And we started iterating this kind of ROI discussions. You're having that with support. You're having that with marketing because now you're able to generate content literally almost immediately with AI. So it took us like 3 hours to do something that we would have done in 2 weeks with the marketing team. It was amazing. It was a really great ad with AI. So now you ask the question, how often should we do this? What's the team structure? So we have to reforecast, and that happened just a couple of months ago. You are seeing that, of course, in operations because there are so many things, like ClickUp, Notion, etc., where right now you are able to have meetings. Nobody needs to have a note taker, whatever. That's all the AI tools or tools right now, or the SaaS have an AI right now. So it's funny that now you are even seeing competing AIs with offering the same value, and you just have to pick what's the one that you like,
Right.
just to have the note taker automatically. What I love from ClickUp, for example, is that you have the note taker, and then it will action or automatically trigger action items. So immediately we'll say, this person, remember now you have to do this, in this with this ATA, etc. Automatically, there is no, let's say, operational workload there. So this is kind of the where I'm seeing all of the AI impacting finance because it is improving the numbers. Now, specifically in finance, you have, let's say, SaaS tools implementing AI, not directly AI, such as, for example, Pigment or Cube, or let's say forecasting tools. That is amazing. What we're using one of them, and it's literally having an Excel model, very dynamic. And literally, I can say, hey, I click here and I can send a message to the operations person. What is driving this value? What do we need to get to this point? So, for example, if I modify in 3 months what I want to get in terms of cost reductions or increased revenue, it will say you will have to do this. For example, sales team, are we able to increase the pipeline by this? So the conversion rate, so the close rate will be this, and we have more dynamic discussions. This is amazing, as well as these are being able to be your financial analyst, like summarize me the trends, flag me any red red flag. Sorry, but I must say that it is not 100% perfect. Sometimes you do this and then you do it manually, and then you find that it is not perfect. It depends, of course, on the AI you are using, how robust it is. And I don't think we are there yet where we can automate a financial analyst right now. But definitely you can liberate some hours from your junior team and execute faster. That's what I'm seeing, let's say, in all of the internal corporate finance world. And what I'm seeing when you are fundraising, and this is very related to investment banking or investing, it's, for example, screening. So before, when I was very young, you had to open some private data sheets and tools to screen private companies, for example, because public companies, you have Bloomberg and Capital IQ and FactSet. But with private companies, you have to cherry pick, investigate, research, and classify everything manual. That's completely automated right now. Like you can literally, if you're really well prompting, you can filter a niche of competitors or competing businesses and already, put them in a very simplified table and optimize, I don't know, 5 times or something like that, all of the screening efforts. The legal side is very important. Again, in as a CFO, as an investment banker, it's very important just to negotiate deals. Sometimes when I really want to understand by my own and not rely on counsel, I just work a lot with Grok, for example, which I find it really useful in legal, and say, tell me the red flags of this clause. Tell me how can I strike back. And sometimes I ask him, what's your approach to negotiating? Should I send this ball first and see what happens? And if not, this is the plan B, plan C, and start playing with the counterparty. So this is where AI is really revolutionizing, sorry, how you strike deals, how you negotiate, and with lawyers, this conversation, it's amazing. And this is both for investment banking, where they are the advisors, and as a CFO, you lead the transaction. We acquired a company last year, and actually that's what I did, even though AI was at the moment relatively new, or at least not as strong as it is right now. But it is so fast right now to see, for example, in which stage should I do this specific agreement, this non-compete, and everything is, way more efficient. And that's what I really like about AI, especially in deals. So to summarize, I think that in terms of screening and investing and filtering opportunities, I believe it is being more impactful versus a direct AI doing internal finance stuff. Of course, analyzing your internal numbers, seeing data like patterns, etc. It's fine, but that already existed with ERPs. As I have mentioned, I believe that this will get better not too soon, but we will soon find out specific AIs for finance, let's say actions, but they have to be super bulletproof because imagine some, an agentic AI doing the wrong stuff in your accounting or the worst thing with your cash. So I see that a bit far, but we'll see. Maybe other CFOs have a different experience.
Yeah. I see it definitely, it's evolving very quickly. I mean, ChatGPT just got released in 2022, like late 2022, and look where we are now. But I definitely see what you're talking about. It's not perfect, but definitely it speeds up processes. And that's, I think, the transition that we're in. And I could see in the next few years that it could perfectly create a forecast or a deck or something like that and not have mistakes. I mean, just have one person review it, send it out. I mean, that's just the side that I'm on. I think that the advancements are like something I've never seen before, but I totally agree. We're kind of in that middle period where, you still need people to look over it. It can be implemented to help people. Like, even at my company, which we are an AI company specifically, we use it in every aspect. Like, we have less employees because we have our tools just do it for us. Emails, ads, lead gen, pipeline, all this great stuff. Yeah, I could talk about AI forever. It's like I geek out about it. It's insane. The
I
first
mean, it's helping, like you're now doing your job 3 times faster. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
more life quality. Is you are even more accurate. You can challenge your own assumptions. Sometimes I even upload some really easy calculations to GPT and
Mhm.
challenge them. And sometimes I have very useful insights. So indeed, you are able to run sensitivity analysis way faster and overall having a different perspective from a brain. It's amazing, and let's see how it will continue to improve.
I agree. I agree. We actually implemented a tool recently that speaks to you directly to help our sales team. That one blew my mind.
Oh
It's
wow,
you
that's great.
you and me talking, insane. I could geek out about it forever. But
I'd love to hear that in a second conversation because one of the teams that we have been slow implementing AI, it's sales. Like we have been implementing across the board, and in sales, it has been tough. Still, we have really strong sales team, very knowledgeable in terms of the product and on the what we do, which is marketing. So that's kind of tough to replace right now, but happy to hear that because it's one of the, let's say, of the targets that we have for the next quarter.
yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so let's pivot real quick. I kind of wanted to ask you just what does like a typical day look like just I know it's different day to day like everyone, but typically what would your average day kind of look like?
So let's say that I have some committees as we are migrating to, let's say, this corporate profile where you will check with other team leads what are we looking for. The most important part from my perspective, it's to have a really accurate sense on cash. For me, cash is first, then P&L. This is of course debatable, but I really need to ensure that we have the liquidity as a, let's say, a very strong cash profile that the company has. It allows you to allocate resources more efficiently. So for example, let's say one day I meet with the marketing team, we discuss what's the CAC for all of the channels, and then if we can put some money here, take out from here, there, then we also have, all of the RevOps meetings between marketing, sales, partnership, etc. Should we push more here, or because it depends on the market dynamics, etc. And sometimes, as a team, we will say, marketing, are you able to reduce a bit so we can put this in sales and we can hire more people here or whatever. So this is like typical what I will drive with analytics and numbers. How can we best allocate resources, which is like my obsession, and with that I can provide forecasts. What's very important on a hyper growth company like a SaaS that we are, and this is very different from big corporations or even investment banking, is that you need to be able to pivot very quickly. So if something is not working, you take it back. So the path for success is not like striking 100% of perfect decisions. It's impossible. So sometimes you have to test. As I mentioned, the AI, we speak with the engineering team, we run some numbers and say like, this is costing more than before where we were using, I don't know, GPT-4. So then we have to take it back. And it happened. Like we just, like people hear like, hey, there is a new version of this and believe that immediately it will be like the backbone of in a company. And it not necessarily it's how it works. It depends on your specific profile and your requirements. So this is kind of my day-to-day basis, like making these mini decisions. And of course, sometimes when you have like the real board meeting that we have on a monthly basis, the big decisions, right? So company wide, how are we looking in terms of growth and the P&L headcount needs, etc. So it's always what I call the game of calibrating. Sometimes it worked, so let's push it and let's put more resources on what is working. Sometimes something is not working, you have to take it back. And as a startup, you have to be super flexible. What I really love is that you, in an innovative environment, because it depends on the DNA of each company, is that you will be open to test everything and then we have to take it back. It is my job, of course, to negotiate all of the deals with vendors so I can do this, because some vendors will say, I need you to be with me 12 months. So then you have to negotiate and say, no, I need to learn about you first. And then they will say no. And that's 30% of my time negotiating with, we have around 100 softwares, and all the time it's trying to calibrate. So I am not tied unless it's a proven, vendor such as your infrastructure vendor, GCP or Amazon or other ones in the market. You won't change that in 1 month, so that's fine. But there are other tools, especially on the AI space, where you will really want to see the results first and say if you have to take it back or not. So that's, let's say, 70% of my day-to-day basis.
Yeah, that's great insight. Sounds really fun. So is there any last insights, any last words for our audience?
No, I think that you have to be up to speed now in today's environment in any role, not only for finance people. You have to be wary about what is improving in each department, not because you will be obsolete or something like that, but there is money involved. Like if there is now an AI tool that will improve 20% your costs in a specific department, that's a cost opportunity you are losing. So the only way to find out is to implement this DNA in each department and ask the team leads to constantly and actually allocate resources, and that's the finance role, so they are able to learn and be up to speed, so you can get to know whatever is in the market. AIs are popping up everywhere. Some of them aren't as great as you may think. Some of them that are not so well known are really strong, and that's on your own to find out what's beneficial for your company. So that will be my advice.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Santiago. I had a great time having you on. I think we had some amazing conversations, and thanks again.
Likewise.